As you know, I like printing out of Lightroom. And I stopped printing out of Photoshop and I haven't looked back. But there are people who still print out of Photoshop with all of its issues. You've got a way of making it a little easier for them.
Okay. Lightroom has templates, allows you to set up basically all the parameters for making a print. Lightroom also has the ability to shift select multiple images and hit print one and get very easy to print, basically do batch printing. In this case, while the Photoshop print dialog does not have presets, they wanted to do that, and the engineer in charge, Dave Polacek, was so consumed with the conversion from the Carbon APIs to the Cocoa APIs that it got left in feature triage. But the conversion to Cocoa did allow him to incorporate some long-awaited functionality, and that is the ability to actually record an action and do batch printing. So you can actually record an action of the print dialog and be able to use that and do batch printing using basically Bridge. So,
right. Well, I haven't used Actions in years. I played with them. I know you're an action maven.
Yeah.
So
we used to call ourselves the Actioneers.
Okay.
Martin and I and Bruce. And
all right.
Yeah, we're really good at writing actions. And sometimes we're good at editing actions. So I'm going to start off and take this image. Do you remember this down in Death Valley?
Sure.
Where, it's kind of funny where you and Kevin were bent over and Chris was videotaping.
Kevin and I like Rust.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I like Rust too. I saw you shoot that, so I had to run over and shoot that.
Right.
And then here's Chris shooting me, shooting him.
Shooting Rust.
Shooting Rust. So a lot of different images. Here's another fun shot of Chris.
Oh yeah, he'll like that.
That's a long day. Or an early morning, actually. We had some really long days. So some of the snapshots. But what I wanted to do, I'm just going to work with the
Unless
verticals.
anyone think that we only create art. We also do snapshots.
Yeah, we do snapshots.
Lots of snapshots.
I'm going to go ahead and open this in Camera Raw, click Open Image, and then here I am in Photoshop. Now this is an action for 8.5 by 11 to the R3000 that I previously wrote, but you can see here into the print dialogues of current document all of the steps that are actually recorded. Let me go ahead and re-record this action so that you can kind of see how I'm actually doing it. You create, if you click on a new set, you can create a new set. I've already got the print action set. We're going to click on a new
Well, a set is kind of like a master directory.
Correct. So 8.5 by 11 snaps. And you'll see now the red button is red. It's lit. It's recording. It's just like we're recording on the video.
But it's not recording time.
No, it's not recording.
It's recording steps, so you can take as long as you want.
So this image is open, and one of the things that I want to double check is to make sure that I've got the right PPI. Now, this resolution is 240, so I want to set it to 360. Click OK. That step has now been recorded. Resolution 360. In this case, I actually want to change the resolution and resample it. So I'm going to do a fit image, which is an automate fit image. And Michael, I'll need your help here.
Oh yes, I'll get out my handy dandy, super expensive 4-function calculator, aka an iPhone.
So what I want to do is I want to have the image be 360 PPI, and I want the image dimension to be 9 inches. So 9 by 360.
3240.
Okay, so 3240. And I want to actually constrain both verticals and horizontals together. You actually have to have separate actions, unfortunately, for printing, batch printing verticals and horizontals. I'm just doing the verticals, but 3240. Click OK. Now it's resized the image. So the next step is going to go to Automate PhotoKit Output Sharpener. 360, that's fine. Now here's the crux of the matter, is to come up under print, and I got to make sure that I select the R3000. Photoshop manages color. Click the print settings so that I set to letter. Printer settings, set it to premium photo. 1440 I think is fine for the snapshots. Now the important thing is I'm actually going to click save, and this, not unlike Lightroom, captures the page setup and the print dialog.
Right.
So premium glossy, Photoshop manages color. I'll go ahead and set it 16-bit. What the heck? I've got 16-bit, might as well use it. Everything here has been set, and it's important. A lot of times when I write actions, I literally write the action steps out on notes, so that in the heat of the moment, as it were, I can remember the correct step to do next. So making sure that everything is set. You can edit actions, you can re-record steps, but if you can get it right the first time, you might as well.
Sure.
I'm going to hit print. Okay. Print one copy.
Yep.
And
There it comes.
it's going to the printer. The next step is really important, because if you do a batch from Bridge and you don't record the closed document, you're going to end up with, you know, however many images you send to the printer open in Photoshop, and that kind of sucks. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command or Control W to close the document. D, don't save. At this point, I'm actually going to stop the recording.
Okay.
So let's examine. This is all the parameters that were captured, not unlike a Lightroom template. It's not as good as a template, but this still allows you to automate the printing. And say, for example, if you, people on the LuLa forums were complaining, you open an image, it defaults to whatever the default printer is, it defaults to printer manages color,
Right.
and you got to keep changing that. One of the things you can do is actually record the printer and all the parameters, such as the profile and everything. And instead of actually clicking the print button, which does the print one copy, just click done. And then you open an image, click play to run the action, and then all of that will be saved into the image, so that the next time you go to print,
Sure.
then it's got the parameters. So let's see.
Ta-da! That looks good.
Okay, so this is the first print that was selected. Not bad. So the next step is to actually go ahead and go into Bridge and do a batch. And I'm going to pre-click on the snap so that that is the current action.
Right, you
You'll
want to be
see-
at the very beginning of the action.
Correct. And then in Bridge, I'm going to select, I really like this shot. And I'm just going to print 4. I've got the 1.
Sure.
Go up under Tools, Photoshop Batch.
Okay, that's important.
No. So in this case, since I pre-selected the action here, this is the pre-selected action in the batch.
Right.
Otherwise, you'd have to navigate through all the different actions and different sets that you've got. In this case, since I did not record an open step, I didn't really need to, because I wasn't changing anything in Camera Raw. I just want to process it out at whatever the settings were in
Right.
the image. So I don't need to do an override open commands, and in this case I'm not going to include subfolders. Suppress file open options, dialogues I make sure is checked, and suppress color profile warnings I make sure is checked.
Right.
And then I log errors to a text file instead of stopping on errors,
Sure.
because then I can go in and check. So now basically I click OK, and we should be sending batch prints to the printer.
Well, I see the computer busily doing this stuff as fast as it possibly can, because it's no longer under human control.
Yes. The computer doesn't have to wait on me anymore.
Right. Okay. No, that's very handy. I'll continue to print out of Lightroom, but I think some people may find this useful.
Oh, I absolutely. You know, Don't be surprised if the next version of Photoshop gets even better printing. So, and now we can see that the print.
Yeah, loading up the print queue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right. And the final print just came out.
Here it is. Whew, punchy.
Yeah, well, at this point, I'm actually getting a little punchy. In fact, how about a nice Hawaiian punch?
Punch? Nice shirt.
So here are the snapshots.
By the way, the color palette in this shot is actually very complementary with that shirt.
Thank you.
You like that?
Mm-hmm. Nice shirt, I like. Oh, do you remember this chair out there? That
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
I do. What that chair was doing in the middle of the desert, I do not know.
I don't know, but it looked like somebody fell over backwards. The engine and then the nail in the piece of wood. So basically, this is how you can set up and do batch printing using Actions and printing from Bridge.
Okay, well, I'm going to stick with Lightroom.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you've demonstrated this because there are still lots of people printing from Photoshop.
Yeah.
Good.